everyone. I'm Amelia Fox with the Dr. Fox Show. Today we're going to be discussing something that I myself have experienced quite a bit in my lifetime, teen stress. I'm a Belmont High graduate, and there's no denying that school can get so stressful to the point that you think you might explode. Believe me, I was on high honor roll, I played 2 varsity sports, and spent quite a bit of time hanging out with the wrong crowd, if you know what I mean. All my stress built up one day until I decided that I was going to take the initiative and make some life changes to help me reduce my stress. It may seem impossible, but I promise you it isn't. I'm here with my friends, and we're going to educate you a bit more on teen stress issues in our society today. Here is a graph from the Center of Disease Control of the percentage of teens who reported experiencing or worrying about different sources of stress. First, let's talk about what actually causes stress. Events that stimulate stress are called stressors. According to a study conducted by the Palo Alto Medical Foundation, 55% of teenagers claim that school and grades are their biggest stressors. There are many signs that can signal stress overload. For example, anxiety, headaches, nausea, problem sleeping, depression, and even substance abuse. But for right now, we're going to look at the most common source of stress amongst teenagers, school. Our good friend Kelsey is here to help us give a quick rundown of her everyday reality in the midst of her junior year of high school. Welcome, Kelsey.
Hey, I'm a junior, and I'm sure there are plenty of you out there that can feel my pain. The nightly homework I have for my 2 AP classes, 2 honors classes, and 2 CP classes, and also my SATs is just really overwhelming. Sometimes I want to walk away and just give up. Not to mention the fact that my parents both think I'm going to follow in their scholarly footsteps and go to Harvard. How am I supposed to do that and stay sane? Luckily, this year, instead of totally overwhelming myself, I've learned some very effective strategies to handle my workload.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your strategies that have helped you?
Yeah, definitely. The most effective one for me is just taking a second to meditate. Whether it's for half an hour once I get home from school, or a few deep breaths before a test. It helps me calm my nerves and clear my head. When I get really upset, I take 5 deep breaths and sometimes step outside for some fresh air. This allows me to recompose myself so that I don't lose my mind. I step away from the problem and think about whether this will affect me in a week, a month, or even 5 years from now. When I use these tactics, most of the time I realize that anticipatory stress isn't worth it.
Wow, those seem like some really good ways to handle your immediate stress, but do you have any suggestions to reduce your long-term stress?
Yeah. For me, exercising and eating healthy is really important in order to lower my stress. When I have healthy habits, I feel cleaner and more energized, which allows me to go out and conquer my day. Exercising also helps me to get good amounts of sleep every night, but I have to make sure that I turn off my electronics an hour before I go to bed. Getting enough sleep is very important for me and for lowering stress levels, because getting the recommended 8 hours of sleep will help you to feel refreshed. Plus, when you're sleep deprived, it's harder to focus on your work, which makes homework take much longer to complete than it should.
Wow, thank you, Kelsey. I hope that helps some of you guys out there. But now we're going to talk to our friend Sarah, who's going to give us a little insight on athletic stress in high school, because we all know that can be a big deal as well. Thank you so much. Hey guys, we're back from the commercial break with the Dr. Fox Show. We just talked to our good friend Kelsey, who told us all about her school stresses that are very common amongst most teens, and I think she gave us some really good advice. But before I left you off, I was just about to introduce my good friend Sarah, who experiences a lot of athletic pressure when she was in high school. So let's bring Sarah on in here and tell us more about it.
Woo. Hey everyone! Like Kelsey, I am also a junior in high school, and I spend nearly all my time working and training on lacrosse and field hockey. I'm actually trying to go D1 in college in either, and I have to work my hardest to get recognized by any school. But sometimes so much training, along with trying to maintain a social life and get good grades, is way too much to handle, and it puts a lot of pressure on me. Playing these 2 sports used to be my outlet for stress, and now it's causing all of my stress.
Sarah, luckily I have some advice for you. One tip is to actually avoid caffeine intake. This is really important for athletes especially, but it's a tip that everyone should actually follow. Because caffeine, you see, actually heightens anxiety and agitation within the individual who consumes it, which only further induces stressful situations. So it may sound really silly, but this is just another thing that'll really help you out, but it's really to maintain positive thought. When you're trying to improve and you're working harder at your sport, I can tell it's clearly stressful, but just thinking to yourself, I'll never be good enough, will actually take a much larger toll on you mentally than something like thinking like, I had a rough day today, but I really am capable of great things. So if you try to maintain positive thought, it could really help you reduce your stresses.
What causes my stress though?
Well, what happens is the brain senses that you're in a bad situation when you're stressful like this and releases a fight or flight instinct, which I'm sure many of our viewers have heard of before. But this basically means that your brain releases hormones that are going to tell your body how to react to the specific situation you're in. So either you'll fight it or you're going to flight it by leaving the whole situation altogether and just avoid that stress. So these situations can cause faster heart rate, rapid breathing, increased blood pressure, sweating, nausea. So, are you experiencing any of these kinds of things?
That's actually exactly how I react to my stress.
Yeah, see, there you go. So, but the good news is that once your brain no longer perceives you to be in these kind of dangerous situations where these fight or flight methods might turn on, you can really turn off this response altogether. So if you learn how to cope with stress appropriately, you can have more control over when you feel nervous and when you feel relaxed.
Thanks, that actually helps a lot.
Yeah, I'm so glad I could help. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you.
Back from the commercial break with the Dr. Fox Show, and now we're going to be talking to our friend Emily, who's going to tell us a bit about her stresses as far as social anxiety goes. Well, when Emily first came to high school, she got very caught up in the high school social scene. She quickly gravitated towards the older kids and found herself becoming friends with the wrong crowd. She began neglecting homework and other priorities, and this came with a very quick backlash. Although she's not the only one, almost 9 million kids between the ages of 12 and 20 in this country have reported that they have consumed alcohol in the past 30 days. Teens often find themselves involved in negative situations in which they give in to social pressures and find that their lives quickly spiral downward. Emily has a bit to share about her own experiences, and that I'm sure many of you can relate to her. Take it away, Emily. Let's welcome her on in here.
Oh my gosh, Hi, Dr. Fox.
Hey, Emily. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I was wondering if you could share with us some stories about how you dealt with your social stresses in high school.
Sure. The first couple of years of high school were really rough for me. Everyone I knew was partying or drinking, and I felt like in order to keep up, I had to party and drink too. Or if I wasn't at a certain party, that I wouldn't really have friends or seem cool. But then I realized that what was really important was the friendships that I made, and how comfortable I was with people I surrounded myself with. Once I understood that going out mattered much less to me, and I found myself with an awesome crew of people to hang out with in my spare time, I figured out my priorities and accepted who I really was. This took a lot of my anxieties about friend drama away, and drinking and partying and my image, which were all giving me problems that I didn't have time or patience to deal with. When you have a good support system of friends, you can help to relieve your stress. Changing the scene I surrounded myself with changed my life, and I'm happy to say that I escaped the social pressures.
Emily, that's really incredible. Even though it sounds like you had a tough time doing it by yourself, it appears to me that it had some really significant payoffs. Well, I know that was a lot to take in at once. Thanks, guys. But for all of you that may be feeling entirely consumed and overwhelmed by school, I really hope this helped you realize that you're not alone going through it, and nearly everyone in high school experiences the same stresses that you're probably going through. And I really hope that we provided you some great ways to handle your teen stress, and that there are effective ways to handle everything that you have on your plate. However, if your stress is so severe that it's starting to take a toll on your mental well-being and you find yourself getting depressed, there are places to seek help. Talk to a trusted adult, a guidance counselor or a health teacher, or even contact a center that will help you deal with your depression. For example, here in Belmont, we have McLean's Hospital. Also, there are websites like stressgroup.com where you can chat with real therapists that will help you work through your problems. Just remember, everything does get better, and there are ways to handle everything that life throws at you. I hope that we provided some good ways to handle your stress and keep it under control. This has been the Dr. Fox Show. We hope we helped you. Have a great night.